My name is Katja Fischer, and I'm very happy you found your way to that webinar. And before I start introducing myself, I wanted to share the next slide with you. So when I started doing my research on silent inflammation, because I was affected myself, I was shocked about how much already is known about that topic, right? So also, after having accomplished my certification in becoming a nutritionist, I understood what an impact this has and will have on our health in the future. So then I realized, when looking at our health system, at least in Germany, because I'm German and I can tell you for sure it is completely overloaded. Doctors only help when, with reacting, but not with prevention. So I understood quite fast that something is going really in the completely wrong direction. Okay, but we will talk about that a little bit later as well. So when I started doing my research on that topic and I was participating in a lot of webinars, it always makes me comfortable to know where the people that are talking have their knowledge from. And as I'm not a doctor and I want to share, the source of who is my source. I mean, however, I'm a practitioner and living in a holistic approach life. I try to, at least. But for those who want to know where I have the knowledge from, that might help you. So the first one is Dr. Paul Clayton. That is a coryphée, I don't know if that's the correct English word, in health prevention. So he has served as a scientific advisor to the UK Government Committee on Safety of Medicines, and he's in the board of several institutes and works with leading doctors and scientists at the Center of Clinical Expertise. And also there's, of course, PhD Dr. David Sinclair, who is well known as the Mr. Anti-Aging, and the professors Dr. Schacki, Spitz, Schmidl. They're very known in Germany for being very familiar with the topic of omega-3 and also of prevention, what we can do to prevent from becoming sick. So as I said, my name is Katja Fischer. I'm in the first place mom of two wonderful daughters. I emigrated from Germany to Spain because I really didn't like the weather. I'm originally an industrial engineer, but I completely changed my focus after founding a family, raising kids. So I did my certification in yoga and becoming a nutritionist. I'm a supplementation coach, a life coach, and I'm a founder of the Slow Aging Plan. If you want to follow me on Instagram, there you go. You have all the information. So what exactly is silent chronic inflammation, and what is the main difference to acute inflammation? Well, inflammation is a fundamental response of our body to, let's say, challenges that our body is confronted with, such as infections or injuries. And it is a very important process, right, in our body. So inflammation comes in two primary forms. It's the acute inflammations that we are probably all aware of. And there is the silent or chronic inflammation. And understanding the difference between them is very crucial for our overall well-being, right? So acute inflammation, we all know that, is our body's very rapid response to an immediate threat. So it's the reason you see redness, you feel heat, you experience a swelling, a sense of pain. And yes, so this is the acute inflammation. And these are classical signs, right? So acute inflammation is like a firefighter response to a blazing fire. Let's put it that way. So the chronic inflammation is more, let's say, persistent. I hear my kids in the background. I hope they are not coming up. Let's see. So silent inflammation is like a let's say, slow burning. It is for months or even years going on in your body. It's like unlike an acute inflammation, it doesn't always manifest with, let's say, so dramatic signs. So we are not familiar with those signs. Instead, it can be very subtle, lurking in the background quietly, contributing to a host of chronic diseases, from heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, whatsoever. And the key distinction in those two lies in the duration and in the purpose. So acute inflammation is a short-lived protective response designed to eliminate a threat and initiate the healing process. It's the body's way of saying, okay, there is a problem, let's fix that. In contrast, the chronic inflammation often fails to resolve the underlying issue. Okay, it can become part of the problem itself. It is persistent alarm that will actually never stop ringing. And this prolonged immune activity can lead to tissue damage and to fatal health issues. Okay. So yes, the Prisch model, that's what I said before. Acute inflammation, we usually see, feel, because it's swollen, it's heated, it's like we have a cut, we have a bladder infection, so you can feel the acute inflammation. Whereas silent inflammation, the symptoms are often elusive and they can manifest in diverse ways, which makes them very difficult to pinpoint. Today, science knows that the consequences are fatal. This is how the Science magazine sees it. So there is constant research going on regarding silent chronic inflammation, as science acknowledged that silent inflammation are the main cause for the most common diseases. But what is the current scientific status on the origin of silent inflammation? Well, there's quite a few sources that can cause silent inflammation. Abdominal fat, obesity. In the case of obesity, the fatty tissue can promote inflammation by producing pro-inflammatory molecules, such as the cytokines, which are inflammatory mediators. They're important, okay, but they cause long-term damage in use. We don't need to talk about smoking, I think. We don't need to talk about environmental toxins. We can talk about stress and lifestyle. A constant high level on stress releases cortisol, stress hormone, which blocks the T cells of the immune system. So when the T cells are blocked, the immune system does not work properly. Free radicals can easily enter. Oxidative stress is the result. That leads, again, to silent inflammation. Then also the body's metabolism has changed. Why? Because we have a lack of movement. Because how does our life look like? We are in front of our computer. Like, I think 70% of the people are having a desk job work, not moving anymore like they did before. And when we are not at the computer working, we are on our cell phones, enjoying the social media contents. And obviously that doesn't help. Then there is another one, periodontal disease. It can contribute to systematic or whole body inflammation, and people don't know it. It's fatal. So bacterial and inflammatory molecules from the infected gums can enter the bloodstream, triggering a chronic low-level inflammatory response throughout the body. And of course, nutrition. Why nutrition? that's what we want to talk about today. Let's have a look at that. So diet and nutrition have undergone a significant change over the past century, right? And some argue that diet quality was often better a century age for several reasons. Firstly, 100 years ago, food were typically more locally sourced and seasonal. So people relied on fresh, unprocessed foods that were grown in their regions. This meant that their diets were less reliant on processed and convenience food, which are often high in added sugars, unhealthy fats, and preservatives, right? So secondly, the agricultural practices were different. So in the past, crops were often grown in nutrient-rich soils with the widespread use of, or without the widespread of using synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, okay? Pesticides, I hope I said it right. So, and also, obviously, the food industry wasn't focused on profit and mass production as it is today. People often had closer connection to their food source and knew where the food came from, which encouraged more responsible and sustainable agriculture practice. Moreover, food preservation methods such as canning or fermentation were more prevalent, allowing people to store food for longer periods without the need for excessive additives and preservatives. So that makes sense, right? So what has changed within the past 60 to 70 years? Well, first of all, the work and lifestyle. So as I said before, the mainly physical-based jobs, like working on the fields, changed to seated office jobs, right? So what we do the whole day, we sit on our butt. And that affects, obviously, the whole system, especially we have less movement, and also we have a very high stress level because of the jobs we're doing, because the social media life that we're living. We have forgotten how to relax our body. The cortisol level is on a constant high level. And also, our food and nutritions have changed. We came from very anti-inflammatory diet that changed significantly to pro-inflammatory diet. We will have a look at that. The level of good nutrients is less nowadays. So food is high in sugar, empty calories, low in fiber, imbalance of the fats that we need, imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3. And also we have an increase in processed foods, like dramatically. We all know that, what happened 60, 70 years ago when the golden M came up. Pollution, agriculture, mass production, products are no longer regional, so therefore harvested early with no sufficient nutrients, vitamins, minerals, long transport routes, flavor enhancer. I think we are all aware of that. And also the takeaway and restaurant culture, right? So what do? When you go to a restaurant, when you go like 2 or 3 times per week in the restaurant or have a takeaway, they use the cheapest oils, the cheapest fat to fry, to cook. Be aware of that. So we are facing a global change of eating habits combined with a loss of nutrients. Okay, so in recent years, the nutrient levels in fruits and vegetables have seen a decline in some areas. So some studies suggesting that the level of vitamin C, of calcium, magnesium, polyphenols, we will talk about that later also, calcium, iron, omega-3, has lowered. And the processed foods we know is high in the level of sugar, has the wrong long chain fatty acids. I will not go very deep into those acids, but I think we will talk about them later, which one are the bad ones, the rapeseed oil, the sunflower oil, the unsaturated fatty acids. And also the AGEs that cause a lot of damage in our body. They occur when frying a lot. You know, the black stuff when you fry things, that is the typical AGE, the advanced glycation end product. So the change in our nutrients and eating habits in combination with our, let's say, modern lifestyle has a significant impact on our health. So when analyzing my clients, me as a nutritionist and as a life coach, I always try to approach them holistically. And I ask them some questions regarding any symptoms they might have. And usually they would say, no, I'm fine, I'm totally okay. But then I would give them like a test to write down what they have. And when they see it in written form, and we go a little bit deeper, they're like, oh, yeah, sleeping is a problem. Yeah, and lack of concentration. I cannot concentrate for a long time. And I also have dry skin the last years, lack of energy, obviously. I have kids, you know, joint problems, depression, maybe winter depression, slow recovery after working out or after having a cold, overall weakness, muscle pain. Food intolerance that you never had before, but then all of a sudden it happens. So then I tell them, maybe you might be already suffering from silent inflammation. So if you want to know how to get certainty about that, stay tuned. Let's see what we can find out. Because you should be interested in knowing whether you are affected, because chronic inflammation is a key factor in the development of many chronic diseases. It is the key factor, and science knows that nowadays, that it leads to, when not discovered, it will lead to autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis, vitiligo, the skin disease, Hashimoto, neurodermatitis, lupus, cardiovascular diseases, allergies, rheumatism, and also lowering down the brain performance. So we're here talking about dementia, we're talking about Alzheimer, we're talking about Parkinson. So what is it that I can do now to reduce the chronic inflammation process within my body? Well, the opposite of what we heard before, right? So reduce the damn belly fat. In obesity, adipose tissue itself can promote inflammation by producing a variety of pro-inflammatory molecules, such as the cytokines that I said before, and free fatty acids. Yeah. Also, regulate your microbiota, imbalance of intestinal bacteria. So stimulate your microbiome. Eat more probiotica, eat more yogurt, eat more sauerkraut, eat more fermented food like kefir, you know, because that can lead to a leaky gut, which you don't want to have. Have a look at your oral hygiene. The mouth is the entrance for any kind of bacteria. So I'm a yoga teacher, and when I studied, you know, when I had my yoga teacher's training, I learned a lot about the Ayurvedic culture in India, right? So I'm not an Ayurvedic cook. I don't cook very much Ayurvedic. I try to use the right oils. I try to use the right, I'm not getting the English word. pimientos and all that. Anyway, but what I started like a couple of years ago, which is has an immense impact on my health, is oil pulling. So after waking up in the morning, the first thing I do, I clean my mouth with water, and then I drop some sesame oil, because oil binds the bacteria, right? So you take oil, a slip of oil in your mouth, and you shake it between your teeth. That's why it's called oil pulling. You pull it between your teeth. So that balances the oral flora, and it strengthens the gums. So preferably it's sesame oil, which absorbs bacteria the best way, but you can use any other oil. And then you throw it out, and then you brush your teeth. Because this way, less bacteria enters your metabolism. Because during the night, you have so much bacteria in your mouth, you cannot imagine. So please have a look at your oral hygiene. Stress management. As a yoga teacher, of course, do something. Activate the parasympathetic system. Okay, so we are constantly active, we are constantly online, performing, consuming. So activate the parasympathetic system. Constant stress leads to the permanent release of cortisol that we heard about. A permanent release of cortisol will lead to oxidative stress, and that will lead to silent inflammation. It weakens your immune system because the T cells are, suppressed. Stress management. So reduce the level, do meditation, do yoga, read a book, go into nature, go for a walk, go with your dog. I don't know. Check your sleep habits. Maybe check your vitamin D level. Why? Because vitamin D is a hormone that produces the melatonin, which is the sleeping hormone. If you don't have sufficient vitamin D in your body, you will not have a proper sleep. And of course, move your ass, move your body, like at least 3 times a week. And check your diet. Have a mindset change in your diet. Be very critical with your diet. Are you really eating healthy enough? How often you eat this nasty, bad stuff? So be very critical on that. And this is what I want to talk with you about a little bit deeper. So ask yourself the right questions. How often do you eat processed foods? How often do you eat a sauce from the supermarket? How often do you eat something from the freezer in the supermarket? Because that stuff usually has safflower oil, rapeseed oil, soybean oil, palm fat, corn oil, sunflower oil. This is oil that is fat you want to avoid in your kitchen. How often you eat outside in the restaurant, in the company's canteen, because they use the same. They use the worst fat to cook. Is your food truly rich on antioxidants, polyphenols, beta-glucans? So polyphenols are the game changer in our health. Polyphenols are a group of naturally occurring compounds found in plants. So they are found in underneath you see it, and in the berries, the vegetables, the tea, the red wine. So if you drink, only drink red wine, dark chocolate, coffee. And they have an antioxidant effect. Polyphenols are potent antioxidants. They neutralize harmful free radicals in the body. So free radicals can cause cellular damage and are linked to aging and various diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and so forth. Okay, so have a look at that. And also ask yourself, are you using the right fatty acids to cook? And this is what we want to talk about a little bit more. What are the right fatty acids and why are they so important? I love this topic because it is so important. I did not understand before. And then when I started, making my homework and really understanding why fatty acids are so important. So besides carbs and proteins, the third micronutrition that is essential for our body to work properly, it's the fatty acids, right? So fats are the most important cell component. Why? Because the cell membrane consists of a lot of fatty acids, especially of omega-6 and omega-3. And both of them are important. You know, you have to have the right balance between omega-6 and omega-3. I will not go very deep into that. I just want to let you know that omega-6 is the pro-inflammatory fat, and omega-3 is the anti-inflammatory fat. And you want to have a lot of omega-3. The cell membrane needs to be fed with the right fatty acids to stay flexible. And this is what I want to explain you a little bit more. So you have to imagine you have this cell membrane, and the omega-6 makes the membrane a little bit, let's say, stiff, and the omega-3 makes the membrane like flexible, right? So when we have too much omega-6 in our body, and nowadays we can be pretty sure, and we know that at least 85% of the Western European people have more omega-6 than omega-3 in their body due to our change of nutrition, what we were talking about earlier. That will lead to the fact that your cells will not be flexible anymore to let the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals that you eat enter the cell so they can be distributed to the body where they are needed. And also, the cell waste cannot properly be removed from the cell because the cell walls are not flexible enough. And that leads to a lot of problems. Accumulation of toxins and waste products. The cell constantly produces waste and toxins as a let's say byproducts of the metabolism. And if this waste cannot be removed from the cell, they accumulate inside the cell and can interfere with normal cell function. What happens? The cell dies, and we create inflammatory processes, silent inflammation. So keep in mind, omega-6 is pro-inflammatory, omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. What we need is omega-3. Omega-3 plant-based, like from walnuts, chia, hemp seeds, linseed oil, is not sufficient. It is not sufficient. Also, the omega-3 from fish, be aware it can be contaminated. Oh my God, what a word. Okay, so make sure you are good on omega-3. Test your omega-6 to 3 balance. So let's summarize a little bit. Summary on your health. Avoid sugar. Okay, so also avoid a lot of sweet fruits, okay, because they are metabolized through the liver. Avoid banana, avoid pineapple, avoid grapes, avoid oranges, avoid apples. Instead, use berries. They are full of antioxidants. They are full of polyphenols. They are less in sugar. Use the right fatty acids. Avoid omega-6. Don't use drugs. No drugs, no alcohol, except red wine. No stress, or lower the stress. LAE, AGE, we will not talk about in detail because this is very, very going into deep. But when you fry, make sure it's not getting black, whatever you fry, because this is really provoking cancer. Fish, but you have to, fish, yes, but only if you know where it comes from, because of the contamination, because of the pollution, because of the toxins. So you can be sure when you buy your fish at Aldi or Lidl, the quality is not the one that you want to have. And avoid the car whenever you can. Instead, find your way to reduce stress, reduce your level of cortisol, okay? Work out, do it like at least 3 times a week. Get enough sleep, check on your vitamin D, what we talked before. Eat more antioxidants, polyphenols, beta-glucans that you will find in mushrooms and what is it called? Yes, I'm losing the words. It's getting late. Just have a look, check it out. And supplement omega-3, because omega-3, through your nutrition, it's scientifically proven it's not sufficient anymore. integrate oil pulling into your routine. If you want to have more information about that, please contact me personally. Okay. What else do we got? Yes. So after knowing all this, I'm asking you now, if you had a tool that could measure how much inflammation we are struggling with, do you think that would be something that completely changes the way we look at health? Doesn't that sound interesting to you? There are some ways, some tools that indicate the level of silent inflammation within your body. So go to the dentist and do an X-ray to check if you're suffering from periodontosis, because we learned before that can be an indicator for silent inflammation. Do the CRP test. CRP stands for C-reactive protein, which is a marker of inflammation in the body. It is produced by the liver and responds to an inflammatory process going on within your body. And it is a commonly used marker in medical tests to assess the presence and extent of inflammation, but it does not especially indicate the silent inflammation. So in my case, I had a very high CRP for a long period of time. And this is when I started doing my research, and I found myself, it was not my doctor, that I'm suffering from silent inflammation. Then there is the ESR test. Please contact your doctor about that. I'm not a doctor, so I just know it's also a marker that can indicate the level of acute inflammation, not silent inflammation. So the CRP test and the ESR test can be done by the doctor. And then there is another one. It's the omega-6 to 3 test. And the good thing about that is that it can be done at home. So it's not part of the regular blood test at the doctors. You have to do it. You have to ask at the doctors to get it done. But there is an easier way to do it, and that's the home-based blood test, where you can easily test yourself from home. And this is the test I work with, or I started working with 1 year ago. So it's a test that you can easily do from home. It measures on how well your cells are protected against free radicals in your body. That's the so-called cell protection. It tells you your mental strength. Why? Because the cells of your brain, they consist of a lot of omega-3, and if there is non-omega-3, it can indicate how your mental health, how the situation is with your mental health. Then we have the indicator of how many percent of your nutrients actually reach the cells. That's the so-called cell membrane fluidity. Okay. And it shows you actually how much you are throwing out of the window of your good food that you're eating. Then you have the level of anti-inflammatory fats, the omega-3 index. You have the level of pro-inflammatory fats, the omega-6 index, and your holistic cell health. That's the omega-6 to 3 balance that is shown. And in that case, it's really bad, because the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 should be not higher than 3 to 1. So 3 times omega-6 to 1 time omega-3. Well, the test is, it's scientifically proven, scientifically tested. So in July this year, we completed 1 million tests in the whole world. The company that I work with, I will tell you in a second, is present in over 40 countries. And it measures 11 fatty acids in your body. You get a whole detailed plan results, like test that you can go through with the person that that works together with me. It's completely anonym. It's an anonym test. So you don't have to enter any detail about yourself. So the laboratory, that's of course, it's a laboratory that is working separate from our company, will not get any information about, is it the first test, is it your second test, is it the fifth test, have you ever been using omega-3, have you not been using omega-3. That's completely anonym. Yes, you get an individual evaluation with our specialists, such as me, for example. You can do it easily from home. It's really easy. Don't have to go to the doctor. The doctors usually don't even really know about omega-6 and omega-3. Ask your doctor, maybe it's very interesting what he will say. So yes, you will get a coordinated and individualized nutrient plan if you do the test with us. And it's a trustworthy company, so listed at the NASDAQ, and we have a scientific board and a lot of scientifics that work with us. So what do I do if my test result is bad? Well, change your habits, right? We just talked about it, what you should change or what you should have in mind to maybe change. And stay calm, there's always a solution. So sometimes, I'm not going to talk about all the seals and the quality standards of those products because the idea of this workshop is not a product presentation, but more an eye-opener and reminder, okay, on how much impact the wrong lifestyle and also diet has on our health, right? So what I'm saying is try to, go through that, what we talked about. Maybe you consider to go only, go once less to a restaurant and maybe change your habits a little bit on what we talked about. The good thing about those products is we have we have this omega-3 products for your cell health, we have this gut health product, and we have this immune system, the vitamin D. For me, it's a combination of all three that will actually give you the basis of your health. Okay, it will provide you with the fundament for your health, at least from the diet side. There's of course things you also have to do and maybe think about. You can be sure that these products work properly. We have 18 health related claims permitted by the EFSA that we can say, that we can talk about what these products, or at least the omega-3 oil, the cell health, that's that one, actually supports within your health. So this is what we are very proud of. And yes, so that's basically something that could be interesting for you to maybe have a closer look. If you want to know more about that, then please contact the person that invited you to that webinar. Have a look at the products. And remember, the path to a healthier life is in your hands. So if you're interested in, taking the test or even understand more about how to build up a business with the company, Zenzino, as ambassador, you're very welcome to contact the person that invited you today. From my side, an understanding of how our society functions, staying healthy is the future. And the company that I work with, Zenzino, is providing a fundament for that. So have a thought about all that, what we just talked about. Let's have a chat. And I wish you all a nice rest of the day. Stay healthy.